Welcome to Learning English with Captain Binoy Varakil, Assistant Professor, Department of English, St. Joseph's College, Devgiri, Kozhikode, Kerala. In fact, the pandemic COVID-19 has attacked the world very badly and is still continuing its attack on the world, and we are all very much affected. And one of the communities that is attacked very badly by the COVID-19, the pandemic, is of course the student community. So too the teaching community. And now most of the colleges have reopened and the classes have begun. And of course the degree students, the UG students and the PG students, they have to study a lot. Their classes have begun and everyone is just depending on different online platforms. And of course I wish to help my students in different colleges of the University of Calicut, and with that purpose of course I am making certain video lectures. And today of course I am making a video lecture on William Shakespeare, and this series of lectures will be discussing one of the courses prescribed for the first semester UG undergraduate BA, BSc, BCOM, BBA students of the University of Calicut. And in the first semester, the degree students, the first semester degree students of the University of Calicut have to learn two courses in English. One is A-01 and the other is of course A-02. And today we are looking at one of the articles from the course A-02, which is titled Ways with Words. The name of the course book for A-02 is Ways with Words. Ways with Words, the course book contains poetry, short story, prose, that is essays, and one-act play. To be very precise, we have to learn 7 poems, 4 short stories, 2 essays, and one-act play from this particular course. And today we look at the very first article, that is of course a poem in this particular course book, that is Ways with Words. And I assure you, this series of lectures on Ways with Words, that is A-02 course book, is going to help you, because I will try my best to give as many interpretations as possible, as many explanations as possible, as many examples as possible, and I'll be just giving you the way I progress, or I just arrange my video lecture on each and every authors will be. Initially I'll be giving you a detailed introduction about the authors who have penned or rather written each of these poems, stories, essays, and the one-act play. So initial part of my lecture I'll be just giving you a biographical detail, so also a literary contribution of the prescribed author. And in the second section we will be discussing the very text, that is of course the prescribed poem, short story or essay or one-act play. And last part of the lecture I'll be just discussing the questions and answers, because exam point of view most of the questions will be coming from the very course book. And now of course welcome once again. Today we begin our discussion of the first poem from Ways with Words, and it is written by William Shakespeare. Everybody knows the name William Shakespeare. He is of course the greatest writer of the world, and I want you to be quite sure about the spelling. William Shakespeare is W-L-L-I-A-M, Shakespeare, S-H-A-K-E-S-P-E-A-R-E, William Shakespeare is believed to have lived between 1564 and 1616, and he was an English poet, playwright, and actor, and he is widely regarded as the greatest writer in the English language and the world's preeminent dramatist. So we have to understand this fact, right? William Shakespeare is the world's preeminent dramatist, and we are lucky to acquaint ourselves with some of the sonnets of William Shakespeare. We have to understand the fact that Shakespeare was a poet, playwright, an actor, and of course the greatest writer. This is the most significant point we have to remember. He was of course a versatile genius, a great literary writer, and that is of course the world's preeminent dramatist. He is often called England's national poet and the Bard of Avon. Is very important. He is of course the national poet of England. Besides, he is also the Bard of Avon. This is very important for us. Exam point of view, you may have to remember, who is known as Bard of Avon? Bard, the very word means of course poet, right? Who is the poet from Avon? Bard of Avon is William Shakespeare. We have to remember that. So Shakespeare is the national poet of England. He is the Bard of Avon, and let's just look at the birth and the other early childhood and other details, his growth and his development, in the sense that he moves from place to place, and his childhood as well as his youth was rather in misery. And let's just look at that. In fact, he was born on 23rd April 1564. This is important. 23rd April, all right, 1564, already there on the board. And he is born in the very place that is Stratford-on-Avon, and he is born as the third son of, or rather the third child of John Shakespeare and Mary Arden. So we have father of Shakespeare, John Shakespeare, and of course Shakespeare's mother's name is Mary Arden. So Shakespeare is born to John Shakespeare and Mary Arden. He was probably educated at the King Edward VI Grammar School in Stratford, where he learned some Latin and little Greek and read the Roman dramatists. And this is very important, his familiarity with the Roman dramatists. As a child in the school, he reads Roman dramatists, and this has given him a lot of idea about drama, how a drama is written and what's happening in a drama, the characters, and of course the stage setting and the action, and of course the other technical aspects of a drama he learns as a child. And at 18 years he married Anne Hathaway. This is something very important, right? Normally nobody marry at such a young age of 18, but Shakespeare married very early, as in fact they were in some kind of poverty, and it was of course the miserable poor background of Shakespeare that just made his father compel him to of course get married at an early age of 18 years. And it is also believed that his wife was 8 years senior to him, right? So he was 18 and she must be of course 26 years. She was of course older than William Shakespeare, and of course that's about the marriage of William Shakespeare. Now William Shakespeare, after the marriage, you must understand the fact that of course they are living in Stratford-on-Avon, and now Shakespeare marries at the age of 18, and it is of course right, rather right. It is not the usual custom. Nobody marry at, and now okay, financial problems, difficulties, and this early marriage, and okay, there could be something else behind this early marriage of Shakespeare, and now he just wants to, it might have affected his goodwill, and of course the family, the goodwill of the family, and they are just shifting from Stratford-on-Avon this time to London. And now he comes to London and he begins his apprenticeship as an actor, and later rose to the position of a playwright and producer of plays. This is very important. So he is just moving to London. In London, he apprentices himself as an actor, and he is acting in small roles initially. Thereafter, of course, he shows his genius in acting, and he becomes a very good actor. Not only actor, he is also into writing plays and of course producing plays. And Shakespeare has of course just made certain theaters, right? Okay, there were theaters of course made under the very direction of William Shakespeare. Alright, so let us now just look at the kind of contribution of William Shakespeare. Everybody knows the fact that Shakespeare has written more than 30 plays, to be very precise, 37 plays. And okay, maybe sometimes some people would say that, of course, right, okay, writing from such a young age of 18 years or exposed to acting and producing plays from such a young age, okay, there is nothing in writing 37 plays, but we have to understand the fact that Shakespeare's dramatic career is special because the plays written by Shakespeare have the reputation of being among the greatest in the English language and in Western literature. Okay, he has not just written plays, not just ordinary plays, all the plays, 37 plays of William Shakespeare, they are the best, they are the number one in the English language as well as the Western European languages. Or rather we can say that the Shakespearean plays are of course number one in the world languages. Traditionally, the plays are divided into the genres of tragedy, history, and comedy. Alright, this is what we have to understand. It's very interesting that Shakespeare has written, of course, tragedies. Alright, tragedies are plays which end in, of course, the death of a lot of people, end in some kind of catastrophe, danger, death, and pain, and crying, pity, fear, so much of tear, so much of emotion and sentiments, right? Tragedies, all right? Plays ending in a very melancholic, sad note. Besides tragedies, Shakespeare also wrote histories, plays based on historic characters or historic incidents. And of course, we know that he was very, very interested in Roman dramatists, and of course his plays are about Roman history, so also about British history, and of course some little bit of Scottish history. Okay, so he has written tragedies, histories, and he has also written a lot of beautiful comedies, right? And everybody knows what a comedy is. And besides, we have also to understand the fact that he has also created a different kind of play called the tragicomedy. Tragicomedies are, of course, plays which progress as if it is going to be a tragedy. Halfway through, there is a change, and of course, the play is ending in, of course, a happy note, and such plays are tragicomedies. A wonderful example of tragicomedy is Winter's Tale of William Shakespeare, and the last play of William Shakespeare, that is of course The Tempest, is also a tragicomedy. So Shakespeare has written tragedies, histories, comedies, and of course tragicomedies. Now Shakespearean tragedies are of most significant and a discussed place during the 19th century, the 20th century, and even today, of course, Shakespeare's tragedies are discussed very much. And when we look at the great tragedies, we have to remember the names, the titles: Hamlet of 1603 and Othello of 1603 again, King Lear of 1606 and Macbeth of 1606. So tragedies are primarily concerned with the tragic hero. In Shakespearean tragedies, we have a tragic hero, and the tragedy rises from the tragic flow or hamartia of the character. Say the character has a problem. The character is having a mistake, right? The character is having hamartia, and the fundamental tragic trait of the Shakespearean hero or protagonist, his interest, his passion, or his particular habit of mind that leads to his downfall is his tragic flow, which is the key feature of Shakespearean tragedies, right? So when we think of Shakespearean tragedies, we have to remember the great critic A.C. Bradley. And A.C. Bradley, the great critic of English, has written about Shakespearean tragedies, and of course he says that it is the hamartia or tragic flow that is in fact a problem in the character, the protagonist or the hero, that leads to the fall, the downfall, or the failure or the tragedy of the character. And when we think of Othello, we know that Othello is gullible. Othello is rather doubtful, and he is rather schizophrenic, and this particular gullibility and the schizophrenic aspect and the doubting nature of Othello leads to his fall. And King Lear, right, it is his pride and arrogance that is his tragic flow, and that leads to his failure. And of course we have now Macbeth, and Macbeth's overvaulting ambition. He wants to be, of course, the king, all right, and that particular overvaulting ambition of Macbeth to be the king just leads to the murder of his own king, and that is regicide, the biggest crime. Even God, no one will forgive you when you just happen to kill your own king. And this particular overvaulting ambition, too much ambition of Macbeth leads to his failure, and ambition is the tragic flow or hamartia of Macbeth. And now of course, right, Hamlet. Everybody knows Hamlet's problem. Hamlet is delaying things, right? He's delaying. His father has been killed by his uncle Claudius, and the ghost of his father appears and asks him to avenge the death of his father, right? But he is doubtful again. He is delaying things. He is unsure whether it is the good ghost, whether it is the bad ghost, and procrastination or delaying things is the problem, tragic flow of Hamlet. So this is something about the plays of William Shakespeare, and now we are going to discuss, right, other than the plays, Shakespeare has written 154 sonnets. He has written 154 sonnets, and of course 2 poems, right? So 154 plus 2 poems are written by William Shakespeare. And now we are just looking at what is a sonnet and what is special about a sonnet and what is special about the sonnets of William Shakespeare. After that, of course, we are just going to discuss the very sonnet that is prescribed for us, Sonnet 29. A sonnet is a lyric poem of 14 lines written in a single stanza. This is what we have to understand. Okay, I told you Shakespeare has written 154 sonnets, and a sonnet is a small poem. It's a lyric poem. What is a lyric poem? A lyric poem is a poem which can be sung to the accompaniment of a stringed instrument, something like a lyre, or something like, of course, a violin. So, a sonnet is a lyric poem of 14 lines written in a single stanza. And the lines are, of course, linked in a particular intricate rhyming scheme. And we have, of course, two types of sonnets in English. And the first type is what is known as the Petrarchan sonnet. Petrarchan sonnet, and the very name Petrarchan comes from the Italian poet Petrarch, who lived in the 14th century. So we have in English the Petrarchan sonnet, and of course we have the English sonnet. We'll study about the English sonnet after some time, because we have to study the English sonnet of William Shakespeare. Now I'll just tell you something about the Petrarchan sonnet. So Petrarchan sonnet is a kind of sonnet written by the 14th century Italian poet Petrarch, and we know that no matter whether it is Petrarchan sonnet or English sonnet or Shakespearean sonnet or Spenserian sonnet, the sonnet is a lyric poem of 14 lines, and we have a special kind of intricate rhyming scheme, and the rhyme scheme differs from Petrarchan sonnet to English sonnet, and also to, of course, the Spenserian sonnet, right? Now let us look at the rhyme scheme of the Petrarchan sonnet. Petrarchan sonnet has two sections. First 8 lines are called octave. Octave. And the octave, or the first 8 lines, rhyme. Line 1 end in A, line 2 ends in B, and line 3 ends in B, and line 4 ends in A, line 5 again, right, ends in A, and line 6 ends in B, 7 in B, and 8 in B. So A, B, B, A, B, B, A is the rhyming pattern of the octave first 8 lines of Petrarchan sonnet, and so 8 plus 6 you have 14, and the remaining 6 lines are called sestet. Sestet, right? We have sestet, right? Sestet, right? And how do the sestet rhyme? It is rhyming C, D, E, C, D, E. Alright? C, D, E, C, D, E. We have sestet. And in sonnets, the first part you have a problem. A problem is raised. That is, of course, in Petrarchan sonnet, a problem, an issue is being shared, and in the sestet, the issue is resolved. That is about the Petrarchan sonnet. Now let's look at the English sonnet. English sonnets are also called Shakespearean sonnets. English sonnets are also called Shakespearean sonnets. And remember, the structure of English sonnets or Shakespearean sonnets are different from that of the Petrarchan sonnet. Shakespeare wanted to be different, and he followed a different pattern. Of course, the line number is 14, and the first part is, of course, 3 quatrains. A quatrain is, of course, a stanza of 4 lines, and there are 3 quatrains. 3 into 4, that is 12. And we can say in English sonnet or Shakespearean sonnet, we have 3 quatrains rhyming A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F. Alright, 12 lines. 3 quatrains of 4 lines rhyming A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F. So 12. And 2 more lines, and those 2 concluding 2 lines of an English sonnet or a Shakespearean sonnet are called rhyming couplet, right? And they are rhyming GG. So Shakespearean sonnet or English sonnet has 3 quatrains and a rhyming couplet, and they rhyme, entire 14 lines rhyme A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, G, G. And as I said some time ago, the very structure or the theme and the progress of the sonnet, initial 4 lines, initial quatrain, the poet is raising a problem. There is an issue, there is a crisis, and subsequent 2 quatrains, the poet is just explaining the crisis in a very vivid and elaborate way, the problems, right? More clearly is explaining it, and towards the right in the 3rd quatrain and the concluding couplet, he is just resolving the issue. Okay, that is about the sonnets, right? Petrarchan sonnet and Shakespearean sonnet. And of course, we have yet another kind of sonnet which is known as the Edmund Spenser, the greatest one more. Yeah, another great poet of Britain has just evolved a special kind of sonnet known as the Spenserian sonnet. But I'm not talking about that right now. Of course, maybe in another lecture I'll be speaking about Spenserian sonnet. Now we have to look at the feature of Shakespeare's sonnets, right? It is said that Shakespeare has locked his heart in his sonnets, right? We understand that his sonnets contain a lot of autobiographical details, and of course critics have tried their best to get ideas from, get meaning from, just of course read and explain and just of course associate the very life of William Shakespeare in the sonnets. And that is the reason why critics say that Shakespeare has locked his heart in his sonnets. And sonnets are Shakespeare's most popular works. The most famous among the 154 sonnets are Sonnet 18, and Sonnet 18 is titled "Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day?" This is most popular of William Shakespeare sonnets. Another sonnet is Sonnet 116, and it is titled Let me not to the marriage of true minds. Alright, and yet another very popular sonnet of William Shakespeare is Sonnet 73, which is titled That Time of Year Thou Mayst in Me Behold. Alright, so these are some of the 3 of the most popular sonnets of William Shakespeare. And now we have to understand more about the sonnet, right? The sonnets of Shakespeare have some peculiarity. Alright, let's just. So most of the sonnets of William Shakespeare are addressed either to a young man or a dark lady. And who is this young man? We have to understand. Alright, most of the sonnets of William Shakespeare are addressed to a young man. And of course, another address is of course to a young lady. Alright, so we have, in fact, not a young lady, okay, a dark lady. That dark lady can also be, alright, a young lady. So we have to understand, alright. So Shakespeare's sonnets are often addressed to a young man or a dark lady. And of course, critics are of different opinions about the young man and dark lady. Who could be this young man and who could be this dark lady? Okay, and his sonnets, though wide-ranging in themes, focus predominantly on love. Yeah, you have the young man and of course the young lady, and the important theme of Shakespeare's sonnets is love, and yet another is of course transience of life. Life is momentary, okay, and transience of life is of course the themes of many poets, right? We have of course Veerappu, which is about the transience of life. Similarly, we have of course right, John Keats' Ode on a Grecian End, again about transience of life. Alright, so the themes of Shakespeare's sonnets are love, transience of life, and beauty, and of course the workings of desire. And now let's just think of who could be the young man. people are of the opinion that this young man could be number one. It could be, yeah, it is often said that it can be Earl of Southampton. It could be Earl of Southampton. Number one, it can be Earl of Southampton. Alright, Earl of Southampton, S-O-U-T-H, S-O-U-T-H-A-M-P-T-O-N, Southampton. That is one of it. Or it could even be Earl of Pembroke, right? Earl of Pembroke, P-E-M-B-R-O-K. And sometimes in the sonnets we come across, of course, W-H. And who is this W-H, right? So this W-H can also be the young man, right? And W-H is, alright, it can be, the W-H in the sonnets of Shakespeare can be, alright, yeah, Earl of Southampton and Earl of Pembroke. And the name, of course, is Henry Richesley. Henry, H-E-N-R-Y, Henry Richesley, that is W-R-I-O-T-C-H-E-S-L-Y, Henry Richesley. And it could, okay, W-H is either Henry Richesley or it could be William Herbert. Alright, so this is in general about who could be W-H in the sonnets of William Shakespeare and who could be the young man. And the dark lady could be, of course, Shakespeare could have an affair, and that could be Shakespeare's lover. Alright, and now let us just look at with this introduction we can just look at the Sonnet 29, and I'll just give you an introduction to Sonnet 29 right now. So Sonnet 29 of William Shakespeare shows the poet at his most insecure and troubled situation. Shakespeare is in deep trouble. Yeah, just like we right now due to COVID-19, the pandemic, we are in deep trouble. Deep trouble, exactly like that. Okay, we have the closure of all the theaters, no films, no cinema, no restaurant, no travel, no tourism, no college, students do not come, teachers do not, of course, remain all the time and do not go to the class and teach. Alright, same situation William Shakespeare had. And this is it, the most insecure and troubled situation in the life of William Shakespeare is explained in the poem Sonnet 29. Shakespeare is in deep trouble, like we, the people in, of course, the world, are affected by the pandemic COVID-19. And that particular time, we have COVID-19 right now, but during Shakespeare's time, they had a problem, and that was, of course, the 1592 plague, the outbreak of plague. There was a plague. And the outbreak of plague, the plague is spreading and people die, just like COVID-19 is spreading, and people just become, alright, people are affected by the virus, people become positive, and some cases there is also death. Just like that, Shakespeare was affected very much by the very outbreak of plague, and a lot of theaters were closed, no dramas, no acting, no stage performance, no direction, and Shakespeare's condition was very bad. No money, nothing is happening, just restricted to houses, right? They can't just go out. And alright, that is number one. Shakespeare is in a very pathetic condition because of the outbreak of the plague. Number two, Shakespeare was very, very vehemently, blisteringly attacked by his fellow playwright, a university wit, Robert Greene. And this particular attack of Robert Greene affected Shakespeare very badly. And Shakespeare is just crying, bemoaning, or rather he is just expressing his pathetic condition because of the plague, because of the criticism of the university with Robert Greene, and he is presenting himself in a despicable, pathetic condition, inside in his mind, emotionally, psychologically, mentally, and of course outside socially and politically and financially. In a very, he has fallen from grace and feels so much depressed. Shakespeare feels so much depressed and desperate. He also feels unlucky. He's unlucky, shamed and fiercely jealous of those around him. And he is looking around and he looks at the university, which you have, of course, Robert Greene, Thomas Nash, and all, and they are all rich and they have a lot of money and they have talent. They are even making sometimes plays and of course prosperity. Sometimes they have prosperity and he is jealous of them. And you see, what causes Shakespeare's anguish will remain a mystery. We do not know what exactly is Shakespeare's trouble. Is it because of plague? Is it because of financial crisis? Is it because of criticism of Robert Greene? Or is it because of maybe a failure in love? Or maybe is it because of some family problem? We are not sure about that. But we have the, of course, answer sometimes in the sonnets, right? As will the answer to whether the sonnets are autobiographical. We are not sure about it, right? We are not sure whether Shakespeare's sonnets are autobiographical. Maybe they could be, right? In the second part of this poem, Sonnet 29, Shakespeare is just becoming rather happy. He is just cheering up, and his happiness just comes from a memory. He thinks of somebody, and the thoughts of that person is giving a lot of joy and happiness to Shakespeare. All is not lost. Everything is not lost. For sonnet ends with a positive affirmation that the poet can combat his despair, his disappointment, his anguish and his worry with the sweet love. There is a reference to sweet love. Shakespeare remembers maybe the dark lady. He remembers his girlfriend, or he remembers a sweet love of somebody, and that particular sweet love of his dear friend just cheers him up in the end of the poem. So memories of the sweet love and sweet friend is motivating Shakespeare to remain very, very optimistic and hopeful. So this is in fact the introduction. This is the gist of the poem, rather Sonnet 29. It is about the very pathetic, despicable condition of William Shakespeare. Initial part. Subsequent part, of course, Shakespeare is cheering up because he has the sweet love, a lot of memories of his beloved. Now, I'll recite the sonnet and afterwards, of course, we'll explain. Let's listen to the sonnet 29 of William Shakespeare. When, in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I, all alone, beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possess, desiring this man's art and that man's scope. With what I most enjoy, contented least, yet in these thoughts, myself almost despising, haply I think on thee, and then my state, like to the lark at break of day arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings. This is, of course, the sonnet. And now let's look at the very meaning of the sonnet. Let us look at the sonnet one by one. So as I told right now, sonnet 29 is about very pathetic condition of William Shakespeare. He is in miserable days. Okay, he is an outcast, socially, of course, financially, deep trouble. And let's look at the poem right now. When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, yeah, I am in disgrace with fortune. I am not fortunate. I am not rich. I have no luck. I am in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, okay, and people are looking at me as if I am a tragic character, okay. Everybody is just ridiculing me because my condition is very bad. I'm in disgrace. I'm unfortunate. And when in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state. My condition is an outcast. I have, of course, the condition of an outcast, right? My condition is the condition of an outcast. And I all alone beweep my misery, my outcast. All alone. I don't have anyone to just stand by. Everybody has left me because I am the most unfortunate person. People are looking at me and ridiculing me. They just call me the worst unlucky person. Okay? When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I'm desperate, right? I'm despicable. My condition is despicable. Everybody is looking at me and ridiculing. Oh, what a pity! What a man he is! What a pathetic condition is his! What a misery! Yes. And he is in deep trouble, he's in deep disgrace. Everybody is just ridiculing, and I am just alone. There isn't anyone to support me. I all alone beweep my outcast state. And here we have the reference outcast state. Outcast state refers to 1592, the outbreak of plague. Jobless. Theaters closed, no acting, no directing, nothing. And because of the outbreak of plague, Shakespeare has no job. He is in misery, deep trouble. And this is the first two lines of Sonnet 29. When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state. Outcast state, my pathetic condition, right? And I trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries. Yeah, Shakespeare is crying. God, please help me. Like we people cry now because of COVID-19. Yeah, please help us. Take away this virus. Help us from this. Shakespeare is also just crying like that. We have, of course, plague in 1592, and Shakespeare is crying and asking God, God help us, please help us. And troubled deaf heaven is crying and crying and crying, and heaven doesn't hear. So here you have a personification, a figure of speech, deaf heaven. So if human qualities or human faculties are attributed to inanimate objects or things or concepts, it is personification. Deaf heaven. Heaven is deaf. God doesn't hear. And it is, of course, personification. Shakespeare is troubling deaf heaven. God doesn't hear with my bootless cries. Bootless means useless, futile. Shakespeare is crying and crying. God help us. I have no money. I have no friendship. I have no fortune. I don't have anything. Please help me. Save me. But God doesn't listen. Deaf heaven, personification. Deaf heaven is just a reference to God. God doesn't. It is not because God doesn't, but this is in fact a period of crisis. This will go, this will pass, and we will have better times, but we have to remain patiently. We have to still continue our trust on God. Alright, that's something general. And now, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries. Bootless means useless cries. Shakespeare is crying uselessly. And now, there is in fact an allusion. This particular condition of Shakespeare, of course, in a despicable condition, no money, no work, plague, misunderstood by friends, criticized by friends, and this is in fact an allusion to the Old Testament. In Bible, in Holy Bible, in the Old Testament, there is a character, Job. Job, the character, was of course, he trusted in God, he believed in God, and he had dedicated himself to, was a true admirer and worshipper of God, Job in Old Testament. But Job is being tested by God. God is sending diseases and sickness to Job. Job is abandoned by all friends and family, and Job still continued his faith in God. So similarly, of course, Shakespeare also feels that God doesn't listen to him, and he is just crying to deaf heaven. We may also have similar kind of feeling sometimes. We think that, yeah, God doesn't listen to me, God doesn't hear my prayers. No, it is not because of that reason. Of course, this is in fact a certain period of time. So, untroubled deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate. I'm looking at, oh, what is my, I'm unlucky. I'm the worst unlucky. I am such an ugly person. Nobody wants me. Even God has forsaken me. God has abandoned me. I look upon myself and curse my fate. Oh my God, what a pity. I am such a cursed person. I am cursing myself. Fed up. And look upon myself and curse my fate. Wishing me. And now, okay, we have 4 lines. We have finished the first quatrain. Now we are coming to, of course, the second quatrain. And Shakespeare is looking around. There are a lot of people. Robert Greene, Thomas Nash, and all the university wits and a lot of rich people becoming very famous and rich day by day, wishing me like to one more rich in hope. God, if I could be rich, if I could be more hopeful like them, if I could be fortunate like them. These people, they are very lucky. If I could also be lucky like that, wishing me like to one more rich in hope. If I could have some hope, okay, featured like him, if I was luckier like that person, Robert Greene, if I was luckier like him, Thomas Nash, or okay, so featured like him, luckier, there are luckier people, right? So I could be luckier like that, like him with friends possess. Oh my God, if I have some friends, I don't have anybody, everybody has abandoned me. So if I had some friends, and desiring this man's art and that man's scope. Look at that person, Robert Greene or Thomas Nash. Okay, they are of course very talented. Desiring this man's art, he is talented, he has a lot of talent, he is improving, and I desire his art. I desire his scope. There is another person who is of course very scopeful. He has a lot of opportunity. So if I have the art of this man, if I have the talent of this man, I have the opportunity. Great Shakespeare is just crying unto God, God, let me have this kind of luck. God, please give more opportunity for me. Please bless me with more talents. Desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy, contented least. With what I most enjoy. I enjoy this, but I am contented least with this. There is something that I like most, but I don't get that. There is something that satisfies me, but I don't get that. And here, enjoy refers to, of course, one meaning. Enjoy, the word has different meanings. And Shakespeare's time, enjoy, the word had different meaning. One meaning, of course, is right, enjoy, become happy, right? So, I enjoy something. I enjoy, right, being famous. I enjoy being, of course, talented. I enjoy having a lot of friends, and I don't have anything. So, with what I most enjoy, contented least, satisfied least. And enjoy has a second meaning, that is, of course, right, to have sex, right? And in Elizabethan period, enjoy means to have sex. So, Shakespeare may not be having, of course, right, the kind of generosity of his friend or his partner. Yeah, it could be even his girlfriend, or it could be the dark lady, or it could be the young man. And it is said that Shakespeare was also gay. a homosexual. So yeah, he has so much of happiness in sex, but he doesn't get it, right? So that could be yet another meaning. Yet another meaning, because Elizabethan English, of course, enjoy means sex again, right? So with what I most enjoy, contented least. I don't have anything I wish to have. Yet in these thoughts myself almost despising. I am despising myself. I am cursing myself in all these thoughts. Happily, I think on thee, and then my state. Happily? Yeah, happily means by chance. Yeah, by chance, accidentally, happily. Happily, H-A-P-L-Y, happily. Happily means by chance. Yeah, sometimes, although I am just drowning in despair and disappointment, sometimes by chance, perhaps I think on thee. Oh, I think of you. I have a friend. I have a lover. Ah, yeah, I think of you. Perhaps I think of you, and then my state, and then I think of you, and I also think of my condition. Okay, no money, no opportunity, no talent, but I have this friend, I have this lover, I have the love of my beloved. Yeah, I'm lucky. Yeah, I have no money, but I have my sweetheart. I think on thee, and then my state. And when I think, okay, I am drowning in disappointment, I am drowning in despair, and very suddenly I think of you, my beloved. I think of you, my sweetheart. And when I think of you, my sweetheart, I am just like a bird that is just singing in the morning, hopeful of the beautiful sunrise and sunny bright days. Like to the lark, lark is of course the bird. Like to the lark, at break of day arising from sullen earth. Sullen earth, that is of course dark, night. So sullen earth is dark, sullen earth is dark earth. During night, the earth is covered in darkness, and from the night, from the dark earth, a lark is singing in the early morning. So when I think of you, my sweetheart, I am happy, I am hopeful, and I am singing like the lark. Like to the lark, at break of day arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. And now, when I think of you, my sweetheart, I am singing God, praises to God. I am singing hymns. You know what hymn is? A hymn is, of course, a devotional song, a bhajan. Right. So now, when I have my beloved, when I have my sweetheart, and I am happy, I forget all my despicable condition, I forget all my tragedy, and I am praising God. God, I thank you because I have the love of my sweetheart. I have the love of my lover. I have she with me. Alright, so from sullen earth sings, I am singing hymns at heaven's gate. And now, last two lines, conclusion. Everything is resolved. For thy sweet love. Okay? Oh my beloved, oh my sweetheart, because of your love, remembered such wealth brings. When I remember your love, I have a lot of wealth. I become the wealthiest person in the world. I'm the richest person in the world. Your love, thy sweet love remembered, such wealth brings. Your sweet love brings me great joy, great happiness, great wealth. And that, then I scorn to change my state with kings. Okay? And when I think of you, I am very rich. And that moment, I don't want to change my condition, my pathetic, poor condition, my abandoned condition, my unlucky condition, my miserable condition, my unfortunate condition of having no job, no friends and all. But I have my beloved, I have my sweet love, I have my lover, and I am the richest person, and I don't want to change my condition with the condition of a king. And here we have, of course, another personification, and that personification is state. There is a pun, P-U-N. Pun is, of course, a word play, a word, right, okay, you have one word with, of course, different meanings. And state, my condition. State is, of course, the empire of a king, rather the kingdom. State, yeah, the state of Kerala, the state of Denmark, or rather the country. State means country, right? So there is a pun or a personification on the word state. So initially we have a reference to my state. That is, of course, Shakespeare's condition, despicable condition, pathetic condition. And now there is of course a word play on the word state. That is, of course, state is the country, all right, which is, of course, an empire under an emperor or a king. And now Shakespeare is concluding his Sonnet 29 with the reference that, okay, although my condition is very bad, I don't want to change my condition with the state of I will not just be ready to replace my condition with that of a king. I don't want to be even a king. What I want is, of course, my sweetheart, the love of my sweetheart, my beloved. So that is the end of the poem. Okay, for thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings. When I have your love, oh my sweetheart, I don't want to exchange my state with the state of a king. I don't even want to be a king. What I want is your love. Okay, so beautiful sonnet is asking us to be hopeful of the fortunes to come in our life. Okay, now we will just start the discussion of the questions of Sonnet 29. At home, please read the poem once again, or even read and enjoy the beauty of the poem. Very, very wonderful poem, just 14 lines, containing a lot of meaning. And this is the significance of William Shakespeare. He is, of course, a great psychologist. He reads the mind of people in his plays and, of course, sonnets. And please read it again and again and understand and enjoy the poem. And of course, we are right now going to discuss the questions and answers.